Gentlemen, welcome to our Monday night live forum. So glad that you can join us here tonight. My name is John Adams, co-founder of A Foreign Affair, and I'm really happy to be with you this evening. We're going to talk about all things international dating. I'm really excited about tonight's show because I'm going to be talking a little bit about the seminars, which I really love. I mean, I can't think of anything better than spending an afternoon with you guys, answering your questions, talking about everything. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how the seminars work, what it's all about, and hopefully we will see some of you guys at the seminars we have planned over the next couple months, because we got a bunch of seminars coming up here. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're also going to talk about the socials, the women, all that kind of stuff. All right, so it's fun. We'll answer your questions as well. We'll get to those, and you can do that in two ways. You can call in and then actually ask a question live via telephone, and all you need to do is call the number at the bottom of your screen, which is right there. We have to interrupt from this wonderful Medellin, Colombia video here, but oh, there it is, right there. Yeah, to talk to the host. So you call in that 209. Thank you, Kirk. Appreciate that. And then you just enter in the conference code and then press 5*, and I will see that you want to ask a question. I'll unmute you. We'll get your question on the air. We kind of keep everybody muted because sometimes there's a lot of background noise in the back, and it's just hard when we have all these callers on at once with the phones wide open, because it can interrupt the whole call. But if you hit 5*, I'll be able to notice that you want to ask a question. Guys, you can ask me a question about anything. I've been doing this for 22 years now. I was lucky enough to meet my wife, the beautiful Tanya. Actually, it will be 20 years ago this July. We are getting ready in about a week or so. Oh my God, it's coming quick. To celebrate our 18th wedding anniversary. We met at a social, a foreign affairs social 20 years ago in St. Petersburg, Russia. All right, so I've been doing this for a while, about 22 years or so, and and also you'll see I'm in this set here, by the way. I just noticed I forgot to introduce the Valentine's Day set. Guys, that is right around the corner. I'll talk about that in a minute. But any questions you have, there's probably nothing that you can ask me that I probably haven't been asked before. Of course, every time I say that, I'm always surprised, so we'll see. But and I also have Bob with me, who can answer some questions as well. Bob, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
How are you tonight, Bob?
Apparently I'm better than you, buddy. Sorry about that.
Bob is referring to my cold that I have, hopefully. Yes, I'm a bit under the weather tonight, and I am going to tough it out, though. I think I will be able to make it for an hour or so here. Bud normally does this call, but he is, where? In the Ukraine, running one of our tours right now. Lucky Bud. I talked to him today. They had their social last night, Bob, at Kharkov, or in Kharkov, and they had over 300 women attending that social, guys. 300 screened, vetted women attending that social. I mean,
that's a great social in that town.
It's always a great social, isn't it? They do a wonderful job, and they did a fantastic job last night. And when I called, it was probably about 8 o'clock in the evening, and there was really nobody in the hospitality room, which is always a good sign, right, Bob? What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. They're out and about. They got to be dating.
They're dating. They're not sitting around. They're dating, which you darn well better be dating if you just went out and you had the opportunity to meet 300 wonderful women who actually want to meet someone, who want to try and change their life, and you have that opportunity. You better be out dating. But if for some reason you didn't meet someone at that social that you did want to connect with, and there were some men that Bud was telling me about that were in the office and they were making phone calls and they were setting up one-on-one dates for those guys, and that's great too. So they'll help you set up the dates, whether it's from the woman you met at the social the night before or from anyone else that you are interested in. All right. So kudos to all you guys out there in the Ukraine right now. I know it's a little chilly, just a little chilly, but that's okay. It's worth the cold to go meet all these different women, because on Friday night they were in Kyiv and they had about, it was 250 women at that social as well. I mean, it was packed, I was told, in the venue that we have. It was really hard to even move around. There was just so many different women there. Guys, I will say this till my dying day. numbers game. It is a numbers game. I don't care what anyone else tells you. You could take all their courses, you could take all the, read all the books, you could do all this stuff, but if you're not out there meeting a large number of women and going out on lots of different dates and being very active, you're never going to be successful. And that's what we do for you. You know, even if it's here in the United States. You know, there's tons of dating coaches. There's tons of people that will try to tell you, you have to do this, do that. It just comes down to getting yourself out there, making yourself available for the opportunities that are there if you're out there. Okay? Of course you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Like right now, you know, probably wouldn't be a great time for me to go out on a date because I can barely talk because of this cold and I don't look my best. Okay, I get that. So you do want to, you know, take some tips, and we give you a lot of tips. We give you a lot of information on foreign affair, Foreign Bride 101, all the different videos that you get when you sign up for the tour, all that helps prepare you for it. But I'm telling you guys, there is absolutely no substitute for numbers and meeting the different women in person. And that's what a foreign affair does better than anybody else out there. There's really nobody else out there that even does tours. You know, virtually all the sites now are all about, you know, that, what is it, the virtual reality, the virtual connection, the keyboard Romeo. That's what the majority of sites are right now. And that's not what we're about, guys. We're about going and doing what you're seeing on your screen, meeting the different women in these different locations. You know, what you're seeing right now is at the very end of one of our socials where we turn down the lights and the music is up a little bit and, you know, people are dancing and you're getting the energy going. But this is after about 4 hours of the lights being up high, the music being really low, and men moving from table to table where the women are seated, where they're eating food, they're drinking the beverages and whatnot, and they're getting to know each other like in a speed dating environment. So what you're seeing here is like the very end of a social. Some guys think, oh, I just don't want to go over there and it's like a dark nightclub and dance. That's not what our socials are about. Yeah, we want to get some energy going at the very end of the evening. So whether it's in a banquet hall at a hotel or it's a nightclub venue like this, you're going to have some kind of dancing at the end of the evening. But, you know, you don't have to go out there and dance if you're a little shy. That's fine. Not everybody does. But the women will go out, they'll have fun, and they'll do it, and it is fun. So, all right. Guys, there's a lot going on here today, and I'm going to try my best to get to everything. I really, really am. We do have some questions, quite a few questions. Oh my gosh, I just looked here. So I'm going to get to this right now. I have a question from Mark. On the tour, are there enough interpreters for all the dates after the socials? Absolutely. We're not going to take you to a foreign country, have you fall head over heels with a woman that you really, really like, and then you're not able to communicate. Of course there's going to be enough interpreters, not just at the socials, but on the one-on-one dates as well. I can't remember in 22 years where there was ever an issue where we didn't have enough interpreters for a guy to go out on a date or do something like that. So they will make sure that happens. This is all the logistics that goes into these things that we plan for, that we deal with, and it just happens. Bob, you've been on quite a few of these tours. You've led them. Have you ever seen a problem with not having enough interpreters?
Not at all. Actually, the interpreters end up standing in the corner, just begging guys to let them help them out. That's my experience.
Yeah, especially in the bigger cities like Kiev, where a lot of the women speak English, and so the guys feel more comfortable going to the table without an interpreter. But you are and can be assigned an interpreter that will stay with you throughout the whole evening, guys. Okay, so you don't have to be alone. That interpreter will be there with you all night if you want her by your side all night. Not everybody. Oh, there's Richard. He's over there right now again. Not everybody wants to have that interpreter there all night. That's why we have some in reserve waiting. But for those that do, they're definitely available. So that's not a problem there, Mark. You'll be fine with interpreters. Let's see. I have something here from Mark again saying, I am a first-hand witness to tell you that the virtual connection does not mean anything until actually meeting the person in person. Absolutely, Mark. I mean, I've been saying that for 20 years, 20 plus years now, 22. You can have all the virtual reality connections you want. And now they got the chat, so you can chat. And they've had the chat for years, okay? You don't see chat on a foreign affair. Why don't you see Chat on a Foreign Affair? Because it's just another virtual thing that's not going to really move you forward to meeting. I guarantee you, if we just all of a sudden tomorrow magically implemented Chat on a Foreign Affair, and believe me, our programmers know how to do that. It's not that difficult. We would make tons more money because you guys would sit there and pay to chat. But we're not doing it because we don't feel that that's going to be effective in getting you from point A to point B. We want you to be successful. We want you to meet the women in person, not sit at home and chat all day, all night, and spend your money that you could have spent on the tour. By the way, guys, do you know, have you seen the new program that we implemented? We need to make a bigger deal out of this, Kirk, or something. We need to put it on the screen. We've implemented this new thing to where if you, when you're like writing letters back and forth, and a lot of you do that, and that's fine if you really want to write. You don't have to. You can go on one of these tours without ever writing a single letter. I did. I met my wife, who I'm celebrating, like I said, my 18th year anniversary next week with. But I never wrote a letter. You don't have to write any letters, but a lot of you want to, and that's fine. If you really want to write some letters before you go, you can do that. But do you realize that there's a way that for every dollar you spend on the site, not only will you get a 10% automatic credit to your account that you can use to write more letters if you want, but you will also have a certain amount of that put towards a tour credit that you can use towards a tour. Who does that out there? No one else does that. We do that because we want you to go again. And if you look at our tour prices, they're about the most reasonable tour prices you'll find for any kind of a foreign tour, whether you're meeting women or not. I just did a video, which I don't think you have up yet, Kirk, do you, for the Chinese video, or the man that just went to China? No? Well, we did this on Friday, and this gentleman took our tour to China, and he was there for about 6 weeks. Didn't want to come home. But he was going, he just wanted to go on a tour, not necessarily to meet women, but just to go. And he's a little bit younger, he was in his mid-20s or late 20s, and his parents were worried about him over there. So he's trying to find a tour company he could trust, and he came across our site just by accident. He's like, oh my gosh, their prices are less than like other sites I'm finding on Travelocity and Orbitz and places like that. And they give me a lot more leeway, and they give me all this support while I'm there, and I get to meet some women. So he took our tour for about $2,200 as opposed to other ones that was going to cost him about $5,000 that weren't going to introduce him to a single woman. And he had a wonderful time. And we're going to have that video next week. I'm sure Kirk's going to get that baby done. We're going to throw it up and it's going to be great. And you guys can hear firsthand what he's talking about. And I've been saying that for years. I just think it's just a great travel venue, travel option, travel value, these tours. All right. So let's see, we have another gentleman here, Jeffrey. So after watching your conference call on your site a short while ago and seeing your YouTube video on the Cartagena, Miss Colombia, I think I'm sold. Fantastic. I think that's wonderful. A few questions though. How early do I need to book my ticket for next November's tour? Okay, first of all, the sooner the better, but if you give us at least 30 days notice, you're going to be okay. We'd like to have a little bit more than that if possible, but the more notice you can give us, the better. 2, I notice your tour prices do not include any tickets to the beauty pageant. Can you ballpark what the average client spends on the pageant-related activities? You know, I believe that they got tickets last time to go to one of the events, which was a big event for the beauty pageant, for about $150 or something like that. Somewhere in that neighborhood, so let's just say between $100 to $200, somewhere in there, to go to some of the events. I think that was the bikini contest, because the actual beauty pageant usually happens a little bit later after the tour ends, the actual where they actually pick the winner. But all the really cool events that lead up to that are during the tour, because the tour is really only 7 days unless you do the 14-day version, then you'll have everything covered. Because you could pick the 7, 10, or 14-day versions of those tours. Okay, and then the employees matchmakers in Colombia. At what point do I inform someone who exactly I am looking for, and how does the process work? Well, you know, as soon as you sign up, you can give us a list of the women that you think that you would like to meet, and then our matchmakers there will do their best to invite those women to the social, or when you get there, set up one-on-one dates, because not every woman wants to go to the social. So keep that in mind. You know, socials are a little more competitive for the women, not for the men. And so sometimes women might say, you know, I'd rather meet face-to-face, one-on-one, in place of going to the social, and that's fine. We always have a tremendous showing at the social. The women, for the most part, really enjoy it. We do our best to make it a wonderful experience for them and treat them with the utmost respect. But from time to time, there may be a woman who's, no, I'd rather just meet you face-to-face, and they'll do that for you as well. So send in a list of women you think you want to meet, and then when you get there, that's the beautiful thing about all of our destinations, especially when you're like Cartagena, Colombia. Ladies is the office manager there. Ladies knows all the women in that office from our office in Cartagena. That's our only office in Cartagena. We don't work with any affiliates there. It's our office, and those women come from us. So they know those women. They know the women's family. They know what's going on with those women, and they stay in touch with them. And so when you're there, they can give you really good advice about who might be a good match for you. That's why we call them matchmakers. They do a good job, and we get a lot of marriages. Okay. So Jeffrey, I hope that answered some of your questions, but feel free to call in during the day. We're happy to take any of your questions and work with that. Okay. Now, guys, again, if you want to call in, a lot of you guys are, writing in your thingamadigs, and that's fine, questions. If you want to call in, we're happy to do that too. I need to unmute Chris, I believe it is. So I'm going to do that right now. Chris, are you there?
Yep. Hi, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a little under the weather, but when I start talking about this, the energy kicks in, the adrenaline, and I feel better, so it's good. How are you?
Yeah. I'm great. Actually, me and a good friend of mine that I met him in Medellin. With him and I went on a Medellin tour. We're going to go to the Ukraine in September. We want to do the Kiev tour.
Good.
And I just had some questions for you.
All right, go ahead.
First stuff I just forgot to ask Bob. I'm 45, and I'm wondering what age range of the girls should I stick to? When I'm looking at the site, and especially when I get closer, and maybe I want to invite some, what age range for a guy that's 45 would you recommend for over in the Ukraine?
Well, my general rule of thumb when it comes to age range issues is that once you start getting much more than a 20-year age difference, you want to be a little bit more cautious about everybody's intent. So you at 45, I would say somewhere between 25 and 35 would be fine. If you started going much below 25, it's not that it wouldn't work, and you're only 45. And the women are very mature there. But you might be a little bit careful if you start dating a 19-year-old. Remember, she's a 19-year-old. Yes, she may be more mature, but does she really know what she really wants out of life? And you being 45, there's a pretty hefty age difference there. And when women are that young, they tend to change a little bit as they get a little bit older. So, it's kind of common sense stuff. But I would say, that 20-year age difference rule is pretty good. Once you start getting north of that, you want to be a little bit more careful.
Right. Okay. The next question is, like in the Kiev is a bigger city, so how many do you get at the socials? How many women?
Well, let's talk about that because we just did the Kiev-Kharkov. We're in the middle of the Kiev-Kharkov tour right now, right? So on Friday night, this last Friday night, we did the social in Kiev, and there was just under 300 women there. It was packed. I was talking to Bud, and he said that it was difficult to move. I mean, it was packed. And then we went to Kharkov on Sunday, and there was over 300 women there. So you're going to experience a little something different than what you experienced in Medellin. Medellin, I'm sure it was great, and the ratios were good, but it wasn't quite that kind of number, right, as far as like 300.
No.
But there wasn't.
It was like 100 women. 100 women per social.
Yeah, about 100 women, but there's probably less guys. How many guys were there? Probably about 10, 12, something like that?
13.
13, right. So you're still at a really good ratio, right? And that was good. So in the Ukraine, you could have 30 guys there, right? So that's why we have more women.
Right.
So it's all about the same ratio wherever you go. It's just that if there's more guys, obviously we're going to have more women. And that's why the women are always yelling at me. They're always like, John, where are all the men's? Where are the men's? And I'm like, there's a lot of men's here. You have to look around. But, no matter what, we always have those ratios. But, guys, that's why I keep telling you, it is a numbers game. It really is. And we do this for the men and the women. It's not that we want to just overload or overwhelm you guys with all these women and say, oh, here you go, push you in there and that's it. No, these women are vetted, they're screened when they come to our socials, and it's important, you know, to know that, you know, they are looking for someone. Obviously, now not every woman's going to be interested in you. That doesn't mean she's not serious. It just may mean she's not serious in you. Just like when you go to a social, Chris, I'm sure you were in Medellin, you probably were not interested in every woman there. That doesn't make you not serious, right?
No.
And so, you know, that's just how this works. So, what other questions do you have really quick? Because we have so much to get to here.
Yeah. Just one more. If me and a friend of mine were talking about double dating, and we were wondering how you did with the interpreters. I didn't know. Is it okay for us to use one interpreter, or do you prefer with AFA us to use each our own interpreter?
You know, it kind of depends on the situation. You know, if you guys are going to double date and everybody's really, you know, fine with everybody and you're going to be with each other the whole time, you can use one interpreter. You might give her a little bit more of a tip because she's doing double duty. Right. I think you can get away with that. But I would ask that question to the staff. They're going to know better and give you feel it out a little bit better to make sure that you're not like killing the woman there with the interpreting. But you know, if it's only for like an hour and it's you or a couple hours, not a big deal. If it's going to be a really long date, then you probably want to have your own interpreter, especially if you want to go off and have a little more intimate stuff going on between you, her, and as intimate as you can get with an interpreter. But you know what I mean. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
Well,
appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Don't forget to tell them that you're a past tour client because you'll get a returning tour discount. Okay.
Yep, I definitely will. Yeah, I've talked to Anna already about it, to ask her all these things, and she's been really, really helpful about it.
Excellent. All right, good. All right. All right, let me get another call in here. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the seminar, which was kind of the topic here for tonight, and a little bit about Valentine's Day. But in the meantime, I think this one ends in like 8,000. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
You know, I'm doing good. Here's my thing. I am brand spanking new to this. I got on your site about a month ago, so I'm new. I don't like. What is something that I should do first? I mean, obviously there are a lot of beautiful women on your site, so I'm looking at all these beautiful women. Say, do I start writing them? Do I wait to go on a tour? So I guess my question is, somebody who's brand new, how would you direct them? Where am I to go? What am I to do?
That's a great question. That's really great. And one of the things that I think you should be doing is something you're doing right now is listening to these Monday night calls, because they can be very informative and helpful in understanding how all this really works. So I think that's a good thing you're doing. I would take a little bit of time and go back to the archives on the site. If you click on the webcast, there's a lot of different archives and they're titled so you can see the different subjects. And I would take a little bit of time and listen to some of those videos and those podcasts, whatever, and get an idea of some of the things that are of interest to you and some of the doubts that you have about how this works will be helped with looking at some of those things. But as far as someone who's brand new to something like this, you know, first of all, you don't have to waste a lot of money or spend a lot of money, I guess, writing letters. I won't call it a waste because there is value in it, but I'm not a huge fan of just writing letters back and forth constantly. You know, you have to decide, first of all, if this is really right for you. If you're really willing to get on a plane and go halfway around the world to meet someone and possibly bring her back, because that's what this is really about. And if in your heart of hearts, if you're really prepared to do something like that, then that's great. But if you know you're not, and if you want to just use this as kind of like a fun little thing to do, to write a few letters and see what you get as a response, that's okay. But if you're really going to get serious about this, then you have to make that commitment first and say, yeah, you know, I think this is something that I'm willing to do once I learn a little bit more about it. Then secondly, I think you need to start looking at the profiles on the site, get as much information as you can from the different videos and whatnot and the blogs that we do, and then start deciding, narrowing it down to, you know, where might I want to go to meet some of these different women. You know, what profiles attract me? Where am I interested? Is it Peru? Is it, you know, China? Is it, you know, wherever it is, Ukraine, Philippines, and there's different there's pros and cons to everything. But most importantly is you have to be physically attracted to the women you're going to go meet. And there's some big differences between Asia and Eastern Europe or Latin America. So you have to narrow it down to there. Some men are just, you know, they're great because they're attracted to anyone from anywhere. And that's wonderful. But that's kind of rare. Usually there's going to be a preference. And then you start then narrowing it down. And then start looking and say, okay, what's this tour really all about? And you know, I can't talk tonight about how the tours all work and everything because we're just way too limited, but there's a lot of videos and a lot of information on the site that really do talk about how all these tours work. But in just a nutshell, like you see on the screen right now, that's Greg. He went over, a confirmed bachelor, never said he was gonna get married. He came back with video with his knee down, proposing to Glenda, and they're now married, expecting their first child. You know, so, and that was in the Philippines. You know, it's just an amazing experience. You know, it worked for me, it's worked for so many others. So I'm glad that you're new to this. And I'm glad that you're considering it. I would suggest you calling in during regular business hours and talking to myself or Bud or Kirk or someone and asking the questions that you have and getting those answers. And we're happy to do that. Okay, so hopefully that helps you to get started, but I would really suggest doing that too. Just calling in anytime during regular business hours and say, look, I want to talk to someone about the tours and how this all really works. And they'll spend a lot of time with you talking about everything, and then you can ask the specific questions you have and then start moving towards the path that's right for you. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I hope that helps. All right. So,
It did.
all right, great. Thank you. And you know, that leads me, his question was great, and it leads me to another point I want to make, and that's about the seminars that we do, okay? We have some fantastic seminars coming up here, one this weekend and another one the following weekend in Chicago. This weekend's going to be in Las Vegas, and then the following week is going to be in Chicago. And guys, if you can get to these seminars, you know, you can see, there I am with that, oh, that tie. Tie's not the best, but anyways, there I am, there's Tanya, my wife, and, you know, it's a room just like a, you know, regular meeting room. Usually we get about 20 to 30 guys that come, and, you know, it is a wonderful way to come and get all your questions answered and to really understand what this is all about. The guys will talk amongst themselves. They'll talk, you know, while we're doing this about why they're there. We always have guys that have gone over with us in the past that come and share their experiences, share their stories. It was funny, the last one I did, I think it was in Houston. I'm talking, and we had about, God, we had close to 30 guys at that one. It was fantastic. And so it goes for about 4 hours, and this gentleman came in a little bit late, so he didn't get to introduce himself. And he raised his hand after about 30 or 40 minutes and stood up and goes, you know, I just wanted to say that I just got back from the Philippines, and here's my wife. And he took out a picture and he was passing it around to everybody, and he just got married from the woman that he met there, and he actually married her there, and now he's working on bringing her back here. Very, very interesting, and I had no idea he was even going to be there. That happens a lot. We get so many guys that will come there and talk about their experiences, talk about their marriages, all that stuff. So these seminars are really, really worth attending. And we get guys that fly into the seminars all the time. When I was in Houston, we had guys from Oklahoma, we had guys from North Carolina, we had guys from all over that were flying in to attend the seminar. And I have a lot of respect for those guys because they really want to move themselves forward in this process, but they really wanted more information. They wanted to meet me, meet my wife, ask the questions, do all that, and we did that. And a lot of times, these will go a lot longer than 4 hours. A lot of times, you know, we'll be there for 4 or 5. The ones coming up in Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas that whole day and the next day. So I'll be there as long as you guys want to still talk, you know. So I imagine we'll be there pretty late. It starts at 11, but, you know, and we have food and drinks. That's all provided. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And we also, we give you some really, really valuable seminar-only tour discounts and general discounts just for suffering through 4 hours of listening to me talk. But it's really not that bad because it's not just me talking. My wife does a lot of it, and you guys do a lot of it, and, you know, former clients, like I said, are there. So it's very interactive, it's very informal, and it's just a lot of fun. And you get a sense of what the other guys are like that are going to be with you on your tour. And that's a lot of fun, too. Because I'll tell you, I've been doing seminars now for many, many years. And guys will meet at a seminar and make friends, and they'll come to the next seminar in 6 months or a year later, and it'll be some of the same guys at that seminar again. There was one we did in California, great group of guys, and we had this one group that kind of became friends. There were like 4 of them, and they would come to the seminar over and over, and then ultimately, like 2 or 3 of them ended up going on the tours, meeting their wives, getting married, obviously, and then they would come and share their stories. But I still had at least one of those guys from that original group that was still just attending the seminars. And it's like, guy, you've got to move on. You've got to go from just thinking about it and being interested in it to actually just doing it. I'm telling you, this is the best travel option that you'll ever have. Like I was just talking about with the guy from China. You know, he searched. He couldn't find a regular travel company to do what we did for less money. They all wanted way more money. And they didn't do anywhere near what we did in terms of all the introductions, socials, all of that. So you're what I'm trying to say, you're not going to have really any downside. You're going to have, if you go, one of the best, if not the best vacation of your lifetime. That's like the worst thing that's going to happen to you. I can't tell you how many men have come up to me over the last 22 years and have said, John, you know, the biggest complaint I have about this tour is it worked, and I can't do it again. And it's true. Isn't it, Bob? You're laughing, but that's true.
Yeah. I've heard that more than once, John.
Yeah. Because look at the video. Look at that guy. Look at the smile on his face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women at that table with him, and he's just like smiling, happy. I mean, guys, you're never going to find a venue. This is for you. This is your best opportunity. It's just, it doesn't come like this. All right, let me keep going here. I have another gentleman I want to get on here, and let's go. Okay, I just unmuted you. I think you're 6390. Are you there, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm all right. My name is Sean. I became a member of a company like a while ago, in 2012.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then I wanted to go on a tour in 2013, but I was married, by then. So I totally diverted, but the marriage obviously didn't work out, right?
Okay.
So now I'm trying to give this a shot. Now I'm 34, I'm turning 35, right? I don't have a college degree or anything like that, right? And I'm in Canada right now. I'll be relocating to the United States as of next year. So I'm getting my divorce papers done by this year, and I'm getting my green card done by sometimes next year. And I'm planning on going to Medellin,
Good.
Colombia. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I'm learning a lot of Spanish online too, just to kind of get along. My question is, if I go on this tour and I meet somebody and I tell her this situation and I tell her the situation where it's going to take immigration for me, because I cannot bring her on a K3, so I got to do the F2A visa for her. So that's my only concern. Like, if I do spend all this money and I go on this tour and I meet somebody, right? So it's not going to be worth it, right?
Well, okay, I was going to ask you that question because you said you're coming from Canada. So you're a Canadian citizen?
I am.
Okay, and you're not a U.S. citizen. So you will be here. Do you have a green card, like a permanent resident alien green card?
That's what I was like I was saying. I'm gonna get that by next year. I think by June, May, between April and August, I'll get it.
Okay. But even if you have a green card, you're right. You cannot do a fiancé visa, K1 or K3 visa for her because you have to be a U.S. citizen. You know that, right? So you would have to do a different way to make that work. And I would highly suggest that you do have a very good conversation with an immigration attorney. You could do it with the one that we suggest or someone else, and just understand you as a permanent resident alien, what your options are to bring someone here if you marry, and how that all works, and what the likelihood of that happening. Because unfortunately, I'm not that well versed in that part of it. That's one thing that I just haven't dealt a lot with, is permanent resident alien issues for the men. And so
it's 2 years, roughly it takes 2 years. It takes 1 year and 9 months for it to become active, and then it takes another 6 months. So roughly 2 years it will take for everything to be done. Should I go on this tour? And so now my question is, in this meantime, right, is she gonna wait? Is she gonna, you know what I mean? These are my questions, right?
Okay, well, if you know that, then it's going to take you about 2 years to go down that path. And then if the question is, will she wait? Well, my answer to that is, if it's right, she'll wait. I mean, I've seen where, well, even in my case, I met my wife at a social, right, 20 years ago this July. But we didn't get married for almost 2 years, right? We were dating. I just wanted to get her to know her better and everything. I could have done a fiancé visa sooner, but I didn't. And she was fine with that. Now, I did go over and see her more, during that time. But, if there's a really strong bond there, a good relationship there, and she doesn't want to wait, 2 years to marry you, then that's an issue. Now, if you go down there one time and you come back here and you never really try to keep that relationship going and you maybe don't go back down again, sometime to visit her, I could see that as being an issue. But I would imagine you would go back and visit her at least once or twice during that 2-year period, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be living probably in Atlanta or Houston, so Colombia, Medellin wouldn't be too far,
No, it'd be easy for you to get to. So if you do that and there's a strong bond and you have Skype, you have WhatsApp, you have Viber, you could communicate every day by video for free. I mean, it's so much better than it was 20 years ago when I was doing it, where, it was $5 a minute for AT&T.
Wow, are you serious?
Oh, it was crazy, the bills that we were paying for phone calls 20 years ago to call Russia and places like that. It was insane. You could get a little better deals than that, but it was at least $1.50 a minute, $2 a minute. I mean, it was ludicrous.
Right.
So you got it made now for communication. Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
The thing is, with the whole Trump administration with banning people and not letting people, I'm worried, in Colombia is one of the countries that he said that he's going to go against. So I'm just worried that, would that be okay for me to even get a visitor visa for her? Because with the whole situation at home, right?
Well, I haven't.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, things are, look, everything started out pretty crazy. Things are going to mellow out, I think. And I don't, Colombia was not on that list of 7 countries. And the United States gives more money to Colombia than almost any other country other than probably Israel and some other ones. But I mean, Colombia is way up there on the amount of money they get in foreign aid from us to help drug trafficking and all that stuff. So I don't see, President Trump doing anything really adverse with any of the countries that we travel to. And I haven't seen it yet. And there's one thing to keep in mind, he's married to a foreign woman as well. So it'd be damn hypocritical of him to do that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was married twice to foreign women. So, give me a break, Donald. You can't do that. So, he's going to be just fine. Don't worry. All right. So, anyways, I got to move on here, but, keep going and we'll be fine.
One more question
Oh, okay.
So next April, I'm planning on going to Medellin, Colombia. So you think if I make this one trip, maybe I would be able to find somebody?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's possible. I can't guarantee you that you will, but the last tour I was there in Medellin, there was 4 guys already starting the fiancé visa. I don't know if Jim's out there someplace, but Jim, I know he married his wife from there. Scott married his wife from there, just on the tour that I was on. I mean, look, guys, all I can tell you is that we give you the opportunity. The opportunity is there, but this is the rest of your life. It's a very serious consideration, marriage. Marriage, whoever you pick will be liable or will be responsible for, 95% of your happiness and 95% of your sorrow for the rest of your life. So you want to pick wisely. And just because you go on this tour doesn't mean you have to get married, right? You want to make sure that you're actually, the stars are aligned and you're finding that right woman, and then yeah, you can move forward. But you have to understand, when you go on one of our tours, the cards are stacked in your favor, because you're dealing with a population of women who have told us that they do want to meet someone for a serious relationship and marriage. And then you have a population of men who tell us they do want to meet someone for a serious relationship and marriage. And what do? Well, we just put those two populations together. And then we stir the pot. And anything and everything can happen when we do that. And that's why we have so many marriages. Yeah.
My last question. Now, if I'm a person, I moved to the United States and I'm working just a basic minimum wage job, I just got a $700 apartment, would this girl be interested in me? I mean, or because I've heard, Colombian women like very, very rich men, right? So,
okay, well,
men, and I'll be like,
Okay, well, that's a good question too. Is okay, you know, you need to be rich to do something like this. No, you don't need to be rich. You probably need to be a little bit, probably making a little bit more than minimum wage. You know, so you need to work and to get your financial situation to where you can afford to be married. You can afford to have a family. And it does take a little bit of money, right? Do you have to be rich? Do you have to have, you know, 3 cars and a huge house and blah, blah, blah? No. What the women really want is, number one, they want someone they can love. They want security. They want loyalty. They want someone who's going to treat them equally. They want those kind of things for the most part. You could always find gold diggers. You could always find women who really want to find that guy who's got millions and is going to be jet setting all over the place. I don't care where you go, those women exist and they're always going to be there. And you'll always find men who just want the sexiest woman in the world and that's all they care about. And that's fine. Let the two of them find each other and live happily ever after. But for the rest of us, we're somewhere in the middle. And there's someone out there for everybody. My best advice to you, where you're at right now, is to work to improve yourself. Everybody improves. You know, you'll get raises. You'll find different things, and that's great. And secondly, is to be honest with that person of who you are. Don't make yourself out to be someone you're not. And you never want to do that. You be proud of who you are. You tell them who you are. You be realistic so that everybody has realistic expectations. And you want to do that, I don't care if you're meeting someone from Medellin or someone in Canada. You want to do that no matter who you're meeting. And then life will be good because, you know, everybody understands where you are. And maybe some women aren't interested. Maybe they want more, and that's fine. But you'll find the women that are interested, and then you move forward with them, and you don't have issues down the road. All right? All right, I've got to move on, guy. But
Thank you very much. Okay.
a pleasure talking with you. I appreciate that. All right. I got to get back over to some of these questions over here because there's a bunch of these here that I am really out of. Remind Mark Thomas about Loveme.com. Who's you reading that? Did you write that to me? Our stream is live there. He said below he cannot connect. There is a stream. If you go to, Mark, if you go to Loveme.com/live, you'll see our stream there. It's live there. Loveme.com/live. For some reason, YouTube, in their infinite wisdom, decided to take down our channel today because they said that there was something that violated their rules. Gee, what could that possibly be? I don't know. Marriage? Trying to help people find each other around the world? Who knows what's really behind that? But we're looking into it. But in the meantime, we will come up, if you guys are going to that channel, we'll come up with plenty more and all kinds of different things. So don't worry about it. This happens all the time with YouTube. I don't know what their issue is or what people are telling them, but it's kind of ridiculous what's going on there. So we will deal with it. So I don't know if Mark's having a problem with that or not. But all I can say is that there's a lot more Stranger Things on YouTube than a video talking about, you know, 2 people trying to meet each other. I mean, I can't even, don't even get me started on that. Oh yeah, that's what Mark's saying here. YouTube was terminated. Yeah, due to yeah, it says all these different things. It says, actually, Mark, what it said was it could be spamming, it could be this, it could be that, or it could be any of our other policies. It doesn't say what it was. It just says it could be all these different things. So you know, there's absolutely no one you could talk to at YouTube. They don't give you any recourse at all. It's kind of like working with the Wizard of Oz, right? The man behind the curtain. That's YouTube. I even tried once, just 2-3 years ago, when they did this to us as well. I tried going to their offices to talk to someone. It was impossible. It was like I could have gotten into Fort Knox easier than getting into YouTube to talk to somebody. It's really a shame too, because the power they have, and to treat businesses and people like that is just really ridiculous. But hey, that's what they do. All right. Let's see here. Does a cell phone translator app work better than having an interpreter person there? Absolutely not. There is no substitution for a human interpreter right now. Now, I'm sure people are working on that, and they will replace the human interpreter. It's getting better and better all the time, which is fine. You know, and that'll happen. I mean, pretty soon you're going to go to grocery stores, there'll be no humans. You're going to go to restaurants, there'll be no humans, and there'll be no human interpreters sooner or later. But right now, although the apps are getting better, they're still laborious. They still make mistakes, especially when you're trying to get some really crucial points across. And a good interpreter is worth their weight in gold, and they can really help you quite a bit. So I would stick with the interpreter.
If I could add, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you treat the translator well and you be chipper and all that. She'll give you the inside story on that lady. She'll be on your side, and you'll get a lot of information that you wouldn't get from an app.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's just so much more benefit that comes from it. You're right, Bob. That the interpreter, yeah, just from the insight that you might receive from that interpreter, you're not going to get that from an app. But again, even like some guys try it writing letters and stuff, and they'll use like Google Translate and stuff like that. That's fine, if you're just trying to get some just everyday stuff over. But my wife has had women call her up and say, God, is this guy drunk or what? Because I'm getting these letters, and the way he writes, it looks like he's never gone to school or he's drinking a lot. That's because it's not translating, everything the proper way into their language, and it makes you look silly. So you got to be a little careful about some of those apps. Some of them are okay, and even if you're over there, there's nothing wrong with using a Google or some kind of a translator app from time to time. You don't always have to have a human translator, but I would at least do a combination of both. Okay, all right. Let's see here. I am 61, 6'5", 210, looking for you a Ukrainian tour in the fall of 2017. Is there interest in guys that are not looking to start a family? What range would I be looking at? All right. Yes, actually, there is. Not every woman in the Ukraine wants to have children at this point in their lives. And if you're 61, again, if you go by my 20-year rule, then if you're looking for women, say 40 and up, I think you would be fine. And a lot of those women either already had children that are grown and doing fine, or at that point probably don't want to start having children, so you'd just be fine. Even if you met a woman that was maybe, into her late 30s, that age range, and you're 61, still could work very well. Now look, guys, I know of many cases where there's 30, 40-year age difference that work very well. So I'm not sitting here judging you and telling you that you can't have a larger age difference. But I'm just telling you, statistically speaking, that you're probably better off with less than a 20-year age difference if you don't want a little bit higher incident of risk. But again, I've seen 5-year age differences that end in disaster. So it all depends on the people, their personalities, their maturity levels, all of that. And if you're 61 and you find someone who's 35 or even 30 that you guys hit it off great and you get along like two peas in a pod, then why not? I'm not going to sit there and tell you not to do that. I know couples like that are doing really, really well. For me, Tanya and I, we have about 11-year age difference. That works for me really, really well. Everybody's different, okay? But, that's the advice I would give, at least. All right. Let's see here. I plan on attending the August tour to Cebu. I have found 6 very beautiful women I want to meet. Just 6? You're being picky. All right. They're so beautiful, I wouldn't want to invite them to the social and miss a chance to date them by them meeting someone else. Any strategy or advice would be appreciated. Scott from Cleveland. Love that, Scott. That's funny. Look, Scott, you can't keep a woman locked up in a box, right? She's either going to like you or she's not going to like you. And I don't care if there's, 30 or 40 other men in the room. If the connection's strong enough for you guys to really hit it off with a good relationship and have marriage, then she can go to the socials, she can walk down the street, she can do anything she wants, and it doesn't matter. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I really wouldn't. Again, I've been doing this for 22 years, and I've seen that, it pretty much works the way it's supposed to work. It levels out. And the people that, are really attracted to each other, usually meet each other, and it works very well. I can remember a case in St. Petersburg where these two guys were basically fighting over the same woman. I think I told this story last time. I mean, they were just going at it over this one woman. One of the guys had actually brought her up from another city, and then he invited her to the social, and they were both, really interested in her and really going at it. And I actually had to separate them in the hotel because their rooms were right next to each other, so I had to put the one guy on the other side of the hotel, the one guy over here. And one of the guys was a big game hunter, and the other guy was somebody else. He was afraid the guy was going to shoot him. I mean, it was ridiculous, this whole thing. And then it turns out that the woman didn't like either one of them. Okay? So, guys, it's all about that chemistry between you. So if you're going to go to the Philippines and there's 6 women that you think you like, you can start talking to them a little bit now. You can write them a few letters. You can try to do some individual dates before you go to a social. That's what Robert did. He was writing to 3 different women in the Philippines, and he had some correspondence going with all 3 of them. They told him, look, I want to meet all of you guys before the first social, and he did. And the first 2 really didn't do much for him, or them for him, whatever. There just wasn't a lot of chemistry. But the 3rd one, boom! I mean, with Marlon, it just hit, and he took her to the social as a date, basically, but he was done. And they ended up getting married. So, you just never know how it's going to work. But I wouldn't be too afraid, Scott. If they go to the social, you'll still be fine. But if you want to try and meet them before a social, that's fine too. But chances are there might have been someone else that invited them to the social. And just because you're just interested, we can't just exclude them from those events. But you'll be fine. Trust me. It's going to be all right. All right. Just had a quick question. I'm an overweight man and not very tall. When I look at a lot of these photos, whether by introduction letters or just browsing around, hold on. I question whether these women would be really interested in a man like me, with them being so beautiful. This applies to the Philippines, Ukraine, and Colombia, all these countries I'm interested in. This is Chris. All right, so you view yourself as being overweight and not very tall, okay? So that's fine. Look, again, in my 22 years of experience, I can tell you that, number one, the women do not want a man who is prettier than they are. Keep that in mind, guys, okay? I've had bodybuilders. I mean, these muscle-bound, muscles popping out of their ears and everything, right? And, they go over and they just stand and they pose, right? Expecting the women are going to flock to them. But they don't. Because, one thing that women tell me is that if a man has to really show off his body and is so always looking in the mirror and beautiful, then he doesn't have much up here. He's not very clever. And women want someone who's clever. They want a man with something on the ball, a man with a plan, as Renee says. Women like that. They want someone who can take control of a situation, not just worried about what their hair looks like, okay? And I was in, where was I? Ukraine somewhere. And, you guys that watched me over the last 20 years, you see me gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. I'm like a yo-yo. I go on yo-yo diets. At that point, I had a little bit of a pot belly. Kind of getting that again now. And, the woman came up to me and she just put her hand right on my stomach. She goes, I like a man with a belly. It was funny. Easy there, Bob. I'm telling you, it's not a beauty contest for the men. What attracts women? I'll tell you what attracts women. It's confidence. It's loyalty. It's the way you treat other people in front of them. It's those kind of things. It's humor. It's all those things together that attracts women. I can think of guys like Marv. Marv, if you're listening, goes way back, probably 15 years. He was a pilot for FedEx. Great guy. Big man. I mean, we're talking probably 300 pounds. Big guy. But he had a laugh that would just roar. I mean, when he laughed, everyone in the room knew it. And the women were drawn to him. I mean, just drawn to him because he was comfortable in his own skin. I mean, really comfortable in his own skin, had a great sense of humor, smart, he's a pilot, and the women loved him. I mean, he got a lot of attention. And again, I go to the muscle man guy, just built out, just muscle man, but very shy, very introverted, standing in the corner. And the women are wondering, well, why is this man so shy? He's a man, he should be able to come out and talk. Those kind of things. And if you are a little bit shy, we'll help you. We'll move you out there, believe me, and we'll give you the tools that you need to get out there, because probably one of the reasons you're shy is you're so used to going to the nightclubs and to the social scenes and everything here, where it's really difficult to meet women. I know, I see it. My brother's single. I know how this works. And over there, it's night and day. And when you first start, you think you're going to get the same treatment. You think it's going to be the same old thing. But it's not. Is it, Bob?
No, sir.
It's different.
It's about values and being a good guy. That's what because they can't get that in their home country.
Yeah, it really is. It is about that, and they want someone who's going to be confident, have confidence in himself. If you don't have confidence in yourself, guys, the women aren't going to have confidence in you, and they want to be able to trust in you. They want, over there, wherever over there is, whether we're talking about Latin America, whether we're talking about Eastern Europe, China, the women actually want the man to be somewhat in control. Now, does that mean he wants you to dominate them and just throw them in the basement when you get home and all that? No. But they want a man that can make a decision. Hey, we're going to go over here to eat. I got this great thing, blah, 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 blah. They like that. They want that. And here in the United States, we've been kind of conditioned to where, no, we have to do everything by committee. We have to talk it all out. We have to do this. We have to do that. And it's like going back about 40 or 50 years when you go over there and the women actually appreciate it when you will compliment them, when you will actually make a decision, when you will actually say, no, let's do this. They like that. They want to be treated like a woman. I know that's kind of bad to say now here in the United States. You don't want to say that because, oh my gosh, what do you mean like a woman? We're all equal. No, we're not all equal. There are differences between men and women. There just are. It's in our hormones. It's in our genes. It's in who we are. And, we've been so conditioned in the United States to treat everybody absolutely the same that men are confused in this country on how to actually treat a woman. But I'll tell you what, you go to Russia and it comes back real quick and you understand how to treat a woman. You go to Colombia and you understand how to treat a woman. And it just does. It just comes back to you. I don't know. I'm getting a little passionate here, Bob. It might be the NyQuil kicking in. You better save me here. But, I mean, does this resonate with you here, Bob?
Absolutely. I mean, what you just got done saying was just gold. I mean, they're looking for confidence. They're looking for, will you be loyal to them? Will you be faithful? Because that's a big, big deal. In many of these countries, the guys just aren't very faithful.
No. Well, in some of the countries, Bob, I know in the Ukraine and in Russia, you're expected to have a mistress. For one reason, there's so many more women than there are men. It's almost like a necessity. I don't know. But the men are almost like, if they don't have a mistress, they're looked down on by their peers. And it's almost like you're expected to have it. And I know some great guys in Russia. And I'm thinking of one guy in general, I'm not going to mention any names or make any references, but I never thought that he would have actually done that. He was a family man and everything, and it turns out he did. And I was shocked because I never thought that. But in Russia, you got to understand, there's a reason why we get on airplanes and go to other countries. There's a different culture and a different mindset in these cultures that you're going to be experiencing. And you just got to understand that when you go there, it's not the same as the U.S. We tend to be very egocentric in the United States. We think everybody's like us, and we think we're the best. Okay? But you know what? It's not like that. There's a lot of other countries out there with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different cultures and a lot of different ways to treat people. And whether we're the best or not the best, I'm not going to argue, but I know we're different. And I know a lot of these other places are different. I know that's one of the reasons we've been so successful for the last 22 years. And to me, I couldn't think of anything better than what I did 22 years ago by going over to Russia and experiencing this. That's where we started. That's why I talk about Russia sometimes. We started there and experienced everything that I experienced. I mean, that was just amazing when I first went over there, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be, and I knew I would end up ultimately marrying someone from there, which I did. And again, we're celebrating our 20th year anniversary of meeting this July, but our 18th year wedding anniversary coming up next week. So, God, I got to get presents. I got to really start thinking about this. I got Valentine's Day, I got her birthday, and I got our anniversary all in this week coming up. Can you believe that? Speaking of which, you see all this around me, right? I'm going to take all this home and give it to her as one of the presents, but that's not going to be enough. But this is Valentine's Day, guys, coming up February 14th. A lot of you guys have already put in your orders for, the flowers, the candy, and stuff like that. You've gotten them in early. That's great. But for those of you that are still out there and thinking about it, this comes quick. Get your orders in for Valentine's Day as soon as possible because it's going to come really, really quick. And you want to get this done. I think I got everybody that needed to come on the calls. I think there's a lot of you guys out here, and man, I'm probably not getting to everybody. Hold on one second here. Let me see. Yeah. Let me check one other thing here, because we're going to wrap this up here in just a few moments. 1 second, guys. Hi, John. Tell the gentleman who was concerned about being overweight to look at a few of the AFA tour videos. Funny. Well, yeah, because you see some of the guys on there. These are not all bodybuilders. Right? Some of the guys, like who you're looking at right now. Okay, yeah, he's a younger guy in good shape. Okay, no problem. I know him. Great guy, Lance. But there are guys, all shapes and sizes, that go on our tour. They really do. All right, here's another question. Do the women in Kyiv or any of the women in Europe just want to marry and make their new home in the U.S.? If not, what kind of opportunities are there for Americans in the women's cities? Great question. Love the question. Guys, I was just talking to Jim, who met his wife in Colombia, and they live now in New York. And they are now planning on moving back to right there, Medellin, Colombia. You're looking at it right now on your screen, and Jim's going to be moving back there for a couple of years with his wife. I'm not sure what he's doing for work there, but I can tell you that we've had so many men that have moved to Colombia, to Costa Rica, to Peru. One of our employees met and married a woman and moved to Peru for 3 years, and then finally moved back with her to the States. We've had men that have moved to Russia, men who moved to the Ukraine. So do they just want to come to this country? No, they want to meet the right guy. They want to meet the right person. And then, yeah, chances are they're going to have to come to this country because you're probably going to be the breadwinner and you're probably making your bread here. And it's hard to make your bread over there. Okay, I get that. But nowadays, it's getting a little bit easier to make your bread anywhere, right? Because of the internet. So a lot of our guys can now make their living online, and they could actually move to their country, or maybe spend 6 months there, 6 months here. The women would love that. They would be ecstatic. Do you think they're just sitting over there in this beautiful place in Colombia, or in Kiev, Ukraine, which I think is gorgeous, or in Shenzhen, China, which makes LA look like a ghetto? I mean, seriously, the place was just built in the last 30 years, and it is amazing if you guys ever been there. Don't take that negatively. I like LA, great city, but when you go to LA, you look at the infrastructure there, and you look at the infrastructure in Shenzhen, China, it's night and day, I'm telling you. So do you think these women are just lining up, just begging to get out of these countries so that you can come over and rescue them? It's not about that, guys. Never was about that, and it shouldn't be about that. It's about trying to find that right person, that chemistry, who you can build a happy and healthy relationship with. And then the two of you decide where you're going to live. As I said, chances are the majority do come here because it's harder for us to make money over there. But that doesn't mean that they're not willing to stay over there if you're willing to do that. And I think they would like that even more. I mean, I know if I asked Bonnie that, who married to Bill here from the Philippines, she would love to be still in the Philippines with her family, with her friends, with everything that she knows, her food, her culture, all that. She'd love to still be there. So yeah, it's not all about just coming to the United States to escape some kind of, abject poverty or something like that. No, not like that. Renee Piani, what time and days for the conference call? I believe Renee always does the call on a Thursday. It's every other Thursday. Bob, is she up this Thursday? Or is it?
John, she'll do the call on the 16th.
Okay, so Renee's next call is on the 16th at 9:30 Eastern, Bob? Is that it?
Exactly. The same as this.
Okay, so it's at 9:30 Eastern, guys. And Renee's really cool. Her calls are great. She gives such good advice. And again, her advice is more general advice about, if you're dating here or dating there, dating on Mars, dating anywhere. It's more general advice of, how to approach the woman, how to dress, how to do the things that are going to make you stand out a little bit better. Kind of like what I talked about at the beginning. So it's more about that than anything else. But she does a really good job of that. She's gone to our seminars before and really did a great job at talking to the guys at the seminars. So yeah, Renee's wonderful. She does a great job. All right, guys, I think I got to most of your questions here. I know we had a lot, but I do believe I got to most of your questions here, and I think I got to most of your calls here. I'm sorry I'm under the weather today, guys, and Bob, offered to do the whole call himself, but I didn't really want to do that to him, and so I decided to come on. Let me go one more caller here before we leave here. I don't think I got to Patrick here, so hold on one second. Patrick, are you there? Patrick? Are you there?
Hello, Don.
Yeah, Patrick, how are you?
Oh, very good. How are you?
I'm good. How can we help you tonight?
I know. Okay, thank you for taking my call. I know I've been to the Philippines last year, and then right now, sending a gift to my girl for Valentine's,
Good.
and it looks like the office looks like they misspelled her name.
Okay.
I got the notification from the office, the gift department, and
Okay.
looks like they misspelled her name.
Well, we can take care of that. So the best thing to do would be to send an email to gifts@loveme.com and say, hey, I think they misspelled gifts@loveme.com, GIFTS at loveme.com.
Right.
And say, I
Yes,
think
I
that,
did do that, and I
okay,
sent the email and also tried calling today.
okay.
I imagine you guys are very busy.
Oh, it's busy, believe me, but they'll take care of it. They're really good. They do a great job in the gift department to make sure everything gets sorted out right. And Helen, does she live in Cebu or Davao or?
The vow.
Okay, so Helen and her team will take care of it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry. Believe me, even if her name got misspelled a little bit and they don't change it, which I'm sure they will, she's still going to greatly appreciate the gift you sent, and she's not going to think you misspelled her name. But we'll make sure that gets changed. Don't worry. You want it delivered right around Valentine's Day, though, right? So we got time.
Right around Valentine's Day, yes. So
Yeah, we got time. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. They'll take care of it.
time, yes.
Well, congratulations, Patrick, on going over. Did you enjoy the tour and everything?
Oh, yes, it was really fun. I went to Cebu and Davao.
Oh, great.
I met my girl in Davao. I did like the social, the party in Cebu, like more of a club tour in Davao. So it's 1 week in each, so
Oh, okay.
definitely a lot of fun. And yes, a lot of fun and all that. And meeting the other guys on the romance tour, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great opportunity. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you went and you met someone special. So keep up the relationship and let us know how it ends up, okay?
Okay, well, yes, so well, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen. I have got to end this. We're at our end time here, and we get in trouble by the union. They get very mad at us if we keep going. So, so I'm going to go. That's my excuse to union. You can tell I'm from Cleveland. I really appreciate all of you. We had so many on tonight listening and calling in and sending in their questions that it just makes it so much easier for us to do these calls when we have all this kind of participation. So I really want to thank all of you for spending your Monday night with us and doing this. And I really hope that we help you in some way to take that next step forward and get yourself out there to one of the best travel adventures you'll ever have in your life. Remember, travel or love is meant to be an adventure, and we do it better than anyone else. And you are going to have the time of your life. I've been.
Don?
Yeah.
You might want to mention Greg's call on Wednesday.
Oh, that's true. You want to do that. So for those of you that are interested in Asia, and specifically the Philippines, but all things Asia, and Greg will talk a little bit more about Latin too. The Wednesday night call is great. It's Greg and Glenda who are on there, and they do a great job of talking everything about Philippines and Asia in general. And I know last week there were some, technical difficulties, but this week I believe they got that solved, so I think we're going to be fine. All right, so yeah, don't forget about the Wednesday night call, same bat channel, same bat time, and stop laughing at me, mister, and I want to mute you, and we'll do this again next Monday. Hopefully Bud will be back for you, so you don't have to suffer through me again, but if not, then I'll be here again with Bob helping me. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate your assistance. Thank you, Kirk, for all the help over there at the technical side of this. It went very well, and we will see you guys next Monday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.